we got the badass, cool Boba Fett that I've wanted this whole show. But that was kind of the only good parts of the episode. At least the most exciting and gripping parts of the finale episode of the Book of Boba Fett. Chapter 7. It's not an 8-episode season. It's a 7-episode series, and Chapter 7 is a really long episode. 61 minutes, but it felt like it went pretty quickly. Pretty action-packed, actually. So 61 minutes, and it is Chapter 7, In the Name of Honor. So we pick up after that crazy episode last week of the Book of Boba Fett with Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka, Grogu, Cad Bane showing up, all that crazy stuff, and just as I predicted, we pretty much just pick up with the Boba Fett story. Now we obviously have Mando there with Boba Fett now helping him out and all that stuff, and Cad Bane's coming into the picture, but we don't really dive into the whole Luke Skywalker, that side of the story too much. But essentially, you know, the cantina got blown up there at the end of the episode, of the last episode. Boba Fett's kind of, you know, preparing for war. And then we get to see Cad Bane. We get to see Cad Bane once again. I know, crazy, right? It's like we totally did see him in the last episode. But he's working with the Pike Syndicate, of course, and that's basically it. Like, he's just working with the Pikes. You know, there's not really any bigger, higher ups than some people thought and theorized. And maybe it's like Crimson Dawn. No. Cad Bane's just working for the Pikes. Then we get to see Grogu's decision in this episode, which is something I actually didn't think we'd see in this episode. So we get to see what Grogu's decision is, and he chose to go to the Mandalorian. He chose to go to Din Djarin rather than stay with Luke Skywalker. Now, I really wish we would have actually gotten that scene, but unfortunately, the X-Wing just got sent back to Tatooine with R2-D2, with Grogu in the X-Wing, but we didn't get to see any more Luke Skywalker. So no more Luke Skywalker. Grogu is back with the Mandalorian on Tatooine, and that's basically the end of that story. Like, they wrapped it up pretty quickly. Like, it's kind of strange how we built all that up in that whole episode last week, and essentially, we're going to start out the Mandalorian Season 3 the same way we did before the finale episode of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, where Grogu and Mando are just chilling again. They're just hanging out in their new ship and flying around the galaxy doing stuff. It's really weird. How they managed to do this story in the Book of Boba Fett. But they wrapped that up pretty quickly. Actually, the X-Wing flies up to, I think, Peli Moto or something like that. That's her name, with her droids and whatever, and she brings him to Mando later. We got this crew again. I don't even want to really talk about them. They are part of the most uninteresting part of the episode, just like they were in Episode 3. The Vespa gang that people call them, the Power Rangers. They're actually a pretty significant part of the episode. I don't like it, but then we get Cad Bane. So Cad Bane confronts Boba Fett while Boba Fett is kind of waiting for the Pikes to come in and try to take over. Cad Bane's obviously working with the Pikes, and we kind of get a quick little standoff with Cad Bane. They just kind of talk to each other, Cad Bane's obviously talking for the Pikes. He wants to negotiate and whatever, and there might be a shootout, a standoff, but Fennec ends up just kind of calming down Boba Fett so he doesn't really shoot out at Cad Bane and start some sort of battle that they don't want to have just yet. And Cad Bane reveals that the Pikes are the ones that actually killed the Tusken Raiders rather than the speeder bike thugs that he ended up killing with the Slave One. It was actually the Pikes that did it. I don't think it was Cad Bane that did it. People thought that maybe as well, but it seems to be actually it was the Pikes that staged that whole thing and made Boba Fett think that those thugs are the ones that killed him, but in reality it was the Pikes. So I guess that was kind of an interesting thing to see. Later, all the citizens turn on Boba Fett and his crew because of course it's going to happen that way. You know, you have that whole scene where Boba Fett tries to make sure that none of the people, all these syndicates and whatever, all these crime groups in Mos Espa turn on Boba, and then literally the next episode of this story, they all turn on Boba. I don't know. It's very strange. It's like they turned with nothing. Like there's no really true reasoning. They just turn. You know, the Pikes were a better deal, I guess, and that's the way it was. So I don't know. That whole little meeting he had with them was kind of silly. Rip to the Gamorrean guards, by the way. They all both fell off a cliff. Boba Fett wanted to talk to the Pike Syndicate leader himself, not Cad Bane. So the Pike leader actually goes there to meet with Boba Fett. Boba Fett, he actually ends up sending out the Twilight guy to talk to him. He writes something on a notepad, and essentially it's Boba Fett saying, no, you know what? I'm going to fight for Tatooine. And then Mando and Boba come flying out on their jetpacks and kicking some ass, which is really cool. Now, this is probably the biggest and best part of the episode. The Mandalorian Din Djarin, Boba Fett in their armor, doing in all their glory, just doing some amazing badass stuff. And guess what? Boba Fett actually uses his blaster in this episode. It's crazy. I know. He had to go all the way to the finale to use his blaster. But it was really cool. We got some amazingly badass scenes with Boba Fett and the Mandalorian Din Djarin. And I think the scenes with Boba Fett overall were cooler, depending, considering what we got later. But yeah, we got some really cool action scenes. It's a really action-heavy episode, which I love. I love to watch. It's very fun to watch, and it's awesome. The whole crew from Freetown come in to save the day, as well as while Mando and Boba are kind of pinned up with the Pikes. The people of Freetown come strolling in because Cad Bane, shot at Cobb Vanth, so now they're angry and they definitely want to help out. And then they kind of back off. The Pikes back off, and then they send in these massive, massive droids to start shooting at Boba and his crew. So they fight these massive, massive droids. They don't know how to get through their shields. It's kind of like those droids that were in the Clone Wars, the Droidicas or something like that. Mando and Boba are trying to figure out a way to break through their shields and then defeat them because they're pretty tough. They're not just like the normal size of those droids. They're pretty massive, and Boba essentially ends up needing to leave because he needs to figure out a different way to deal with these droids because they're a big threat. There's like 2 of them walking around, and Din Djarin, he can't even slice through their shields with the darksaber. It's not working. So Boba Fett leaves, and then Mando, you see this lady, she comes riding in with her droids and everything, just with Grogu during this battle. And of course she's got to be there. Of course we got to get that reunion with Grogu and Din Djarin, of course. So we got to see that nice reunion. It was nice to see that. It definitely was. But right in the heat of battle, too, it was super strange. But nonetheless, we got to see their reunion. We didn't really get to see much talk, though, between Din Djarin and Grogu and the decision that he made in leaving Luke Skywalker. That really never got talked about. It just kind of showed up, and we assumed that he chose the Mandalorian. He went back, and that's it. So, yeah, it wasn't really explained that well, and we'll probably get that in Mando Season 3. Boba comes back, and it's the big rumor that we all thought that would end up happening, and here it is. He comes in riding on the Rancor, and I think this is the coolest part of the episode. Boba Fett is riding his Rancor around Mos Espa, and I think this is satisfying enough for me. I think it really, really is. This is the badass Boba Fett that I wanted to see. And it sucks that we only got to see it in this one episode. This is the Boba Fett I wanted to see the whole show. And we got a little bit of it in the flashbacks, but we finally got to see it in this episode here, which is good to see. And I think we're going to see more of it going forward in the Mandalorian Filoni-verse universe here that we got going with the Star Wars stuff. And I think we're going to see more Boba Fett like this going forward. But yeah, really, really cool scenes there. We get to see some Force scenes with Grogu. He got to stop some droids. Boba Fett riding around in his Rancor, essentially just ripping up the droids and beating up the droids, which is really cool. We got some really cool shots of him on the Rancor. And then we got this scene. And this is the one I really want to get into, because this scene, I don't know how to feel. I wanted to see this for a while, but it's Cad Bane versus Boba Fett. And you think, oh, he's on his Rancor. He's going to kick Cad Bane's ass. He's going to kick Cad Bane's butt. But in reality, Cad Bane, he just kind of shoots his flames and knocks Boba Fett off the Rancor, which is kind of strange. Boba Fett just did all that fighting, and these little flames end up getting Boba Fett knocked off the Rancor. I don't know. I thought it was strange. But we got the standoff. We finally got the standoff. We got some cool dialogue between Cad Bane and Boba. They know each other. They've known each other for a while. Cad Bane knows Boba very, very well, and same with Boba to Cad Bane. And they're just kind of interacting, and Cad Bane's talking about how he knows how Boba Fett is. What's your angle? What is your goal here? And all that type of stuff. And essentially, Cad Bane says, "I'm faster than you." And Boba's like, I know. Cad Bane is the fastest around, which is cool. But this is like a 1-minute fight scene. They shoot their blasters a few times, mostly just Cad Bane shooting Boba Fett to the ground because Cad Bane is just quicker. Cad Bane definitely has that quicker draw, which is super cool to see. I really love that they did that with Cad Bane. So we got a cool little fight there, but it was very, very quick. And Cad Bane kind of had Boba Fett pinned down. And then we get to the part that just, oh my God, upsets me. It really, really upsets me. And I guess it was bound to happen eventually. But Boba Fett gets up. He uses his gaffy stick from the Tusken Raiders. He kind of has these new moves because he learned under the Tusken Raiders. And he beats Cad Bane to the ground. He ended up like tripping Cad Bane and knocking him to the ground. And Boba Fett's pissed off. He is beyond pissed off. Cad Bane's trying to talk to Boba Fett like he knows him. What's your angle? What are you trying to do here? I am better than you. And Boba Fett just flips the whole thing around, gets above Cad Bane, and Cad Bane's on the ground saying, "I knew you were a cold-blooded killer." Right before Boba Fett kills Cad Bane. Cad Bane has died. Cad Bane, the badass bounty hunter we got to see show up in the Clone Wars all those years ago. Definitely my favorite bounty hunter. Well before he even came back in the Bad Batch. I just loved Cad Bane. Super cool. And there's so much more we could get with Cad Bane, especially with the Bad Batch still going. I'm not saying that. I mean, it's the same with Maul. You know, there's so many stories we can get with Darth Maul still, even though he died before A New Hope. But Cad Bane, considering he survived to this point, there's still so many stories we can have with him in it. So I get that, and I'm excited for that if we do. But Cad Bane, his end is here, presumably. I mean, I guess he could be alive, but I genuinely doubt it. He seemed pretty dead at the end of this episode, or at the end of his scene here, but he stabs him with a gaffy stick, and Cad Bane is down. It is the end of Cad Bane. And it just felt very strange. You know, it's like I wanted to see more of live action Cad Bane. You know, we just brought him in. So many people have wanted to see Cad Bane in live action for a long time. And literally the episode after he finally came into live action, he's dead. You know, I was thinking maybe we get a season 2, and then we get to see Cad Bane versus Boba maybe. We get a season with that. But Cad Bane's dead. And it is what it is. You know, you can't undo what they just did. I don't like what they did. I really wish Cad Bane was still alive. And unfortunately, Cad Bane this is how he goes. And it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks because I really think we could have gotten more with Cad Bane. Cad Bane did mention a few times how you've gotten old. You've gotten soft and old. And you know, Boba Fett's kind of like, yeah, but you're old too. And it's just kind of like two old men just kind of fighting. And Cad Bane is old. He's a very old guy. So, I mean, him dying maybe now, maybe he's just too old to fight maybe like he used to. I don't know. I guess you just have to go with that at this point because he's dead. He's lying on the ground. There he is. So, Cad Bane, ruthless bounty hunter, the baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy for all those decades, is gone. It sucks, I know, but I guess we have to move on. And I'm actually kind of surprised at a show with Dave Filoni here. I'm surprised Dave Filoni killed Cad Bane off so quick. I really am surprised by that. So I'll give him that because he keeps Ahsoka alive like all the time. Then we get the Rancor. So Boba Fett fell off the Rancor, and the Rancor is literally going insane now. It's literally like King Kong climbing the skyscraper. That's the type of scene we got here. And of course, Grogu has to do his little hand thing again, and he saves the day again. It's like this kid has to just use the Force. Whenever they're in a big predicament here, he has to use the Force, and he has a new ability, and he saves the day. You know, I mean, it was cool the first few times, maybe, but I'm actually kind of getting tired of it. I am. I saw the scene, I'm like, how is this kid doing this again? Like, you tell me Boba or Mando can't deal with this in some way. You know, I guess Mando trying using his flames and stuff, but you telling me that this little tiny kid with the Force, he's still trying to train and learn his way, is now fluent and can control animals, kind of like Ezra Bridger in a way. You know, I don't like the scene. I really don't like the scene. Some people might really love this scene, and I mean, it is cool, I guess, to see Grogu have a new ability again, and it's cool to see the little guy do this. But he's done this so many times now with the Force. He's helping people out. He's just, this little kid's there waving his little green hand and helping out in a predicament when he's very, very conveniently there. And I genuinely, I don't like it. I didn't like that this was just happening again. I don't know if that's a popular opinion, not a popular opinion. I don't know. I didn't like it, though. I didn't like that Grogu was doing this type of thing again, just saving the day with the Force, just sticking his hand out. There you go. I saved the day, guys, again. We've seen it before. I don't need to see it anymore. I'm just saying, unless it's a very different type of circumstance and it makes sense, maybe more. I don't know. I didn't like it. Then we cut back to Fennec Shand, who kind of whizzed off on a speeder earlier in the episode, actually, before the fighting began. She went to take out the Pike Syndicate leader and everything like that. She took out the leaders and all the leaders in Mos Espa. She killed them. They were all kind of gathering and chatting on what to do because Boba Fett kind of kicked all their asses. And Fennec comes in and kills them all pretty much. She blasts them. She stabs the Pike leader or the Pike guy that was in that specific room, and she just leaves. She takes him out, and that's it. It's all wrapped up in one episode. It built up for 4 episodes so slowly, and it's all wrapped up in one big final episode, which is kind of something I predicted to happen, but I didn't really want to happen. I thought maybe we'd jump to a season 2, but I genuinely don't think we're going to see a season 2 now. I don't know. We could, but they didn't really announce it at the end of the episode. So Boba and Fennec, they're kind of just wandering around Mos Espa again, just like they were at the beginning of the season. And now he's happier. I don't know. He saved the day. He's no longer dealing with the Pikes, I guess. And he does make an interesting comment to Fennec that, this isn't for us, and we don't need to be maybe here anymore. We don't need to be doing this, leading Mos Espa, ruling with respect and whatever, ruling Tatooine and Mos Espa. Maybe that's just not for them, and I think that's a hint that we're not really going to get much more of Boba Fett on Tatooine. I think he's going to leave Tatooine, and it cut to a shot of all these other, all of his squad here. You got Black Chrysanthemum, you got the Power Rangers over here, and I think they're going to be the ones that are just kind of maybe taking over. I don't think so. I don't know. But either way, they kind of cut to them. Maybe they'll be coming in and just kind of patrolling Mos Espa or something now. Or maybe the Hutts will come in and take it over again. I don't know. But I don't think Boba's going to be sticking around too much longer just because that one line. I think Boba and Fennec have a lot more to do and go help out Mando. And I think that's kind of the whole point they're setting up is Boba is going to go help out the Mandalorian more throughout these different Mandalorian stories. I think the Mandalorian Season 3, we will see Boba Fett once again. They didn't tell us that he'll be back in Season 2 or in Season 3 yet of Mando. They didn't tell us that, but that line really hints at it, and I think we will see him in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. We cut to this end scene here of the episode, which is something people kind of predicted. It's the Mandalorian flying off Tatooine, and there's Grogu right there in the top little hatch there, this little bubble, his own little bubble on his Naboo Starfighter that he kind of revamped, and I love it. I think it's really cool. I think it's a cool scene, and now we're going to pick up Mando Season 3 with Grogu and Din Djarin together again. It's going to be kind of weird. Let's say someone watches only The Mandalorian. You're going to cut from Luke Skywalker taking Grogu to The Mandalorian Season 3, where Grogu's just with Din Djarin again. Are they going to talk about it, or are they just going to continue on like, you have to watch the Book of Boba Fett? I don't know. It does seem kind of strange they put such integral parts to the Mandalorian story in the Book of Boba Fett, and I feel like they really shouldn't have. But I think that seems to be a pretty popular opinion, actually. But the episode's over. That the credits play, and then we cut to this scene. Okay, what's going on here? We're back to the Jabba's palace. We're back to the Bacta tank. I thought we were done with this, right? And this is a terrible post-credit scene. It's not even a scene. It's like a quick glimpse. And I thought we'd get something much better for a post-credit scene. We got it with Mando Season 2. I thought we'd get one here, and we did. Cobb Vanth is alive. It was kind of presumed that maybe he died, especially with a line earlier in the episode that he killed him in cold blood. Cad Bane killed him in cold blood. But it looks like Cobb Vanth is alive. He's in the Bacta tank. And there is the modder guy who gives modifications and revamps to people on Tatooine. This is the guy Boba went to see to save Fennec Shand. I don't know why the hell he is in Jabba's palace right now, or Boba's palace, whatever. I don't know why the hell he's there. I don't know why Cobb Vanth is there, but presumably Cobb Vanth is going to get some modifications, and the next time we see him, he'll have some mechanical upgrades, which will maybe look cool. Who knows what they'll do? Maybe somewhere around his shoulder area because Cad Bane shot him there. But I didn't like the scene, though. I thought it was a stupid post-credit scene. I thought it was really dumb, and it's just not that big. Cobb Vanth, he's a cool character, but he's not that big of a character, okay? That's not a good cliffhanger for whatever's to come next. It's just not. It's not interesting. I don't care too much, Cobb Vanth is cool. I'm not saying he's not cool, but I don't care enough for this to be a post-credit scene, and that's just kind of how it feels. That's just kind of how it is. But the Book of Boba Fett Episode 7 It has some really cool badass scenes. I think we got to see some really cool badass Boba Fett, which I really wanted to see finally, and I'm just so glad we finally got to see that. Him riding around on the Rancor, just, you know, destroying all those droids and stuff. Really cool to see. And I mean, some of the Cad Bane stuff was cool. I think it was really rushed though, and I don't like that Cad Bane died. I think we could have gotten a little bit more of him in live action before he died. I did expect him to die, like to Boba Fett eventually, but not so soon. I don't know. I guess it was expected. Just, I don't know. I wanted to see more of Cad Bane, and it kind of sucks that my favorite bounty hunter just died. It is what it is. That's kind of my review and breakdown of the episode. I'll probably make more videos going into the week here of the episode, just my thoughts going into it, and the future of Star Wars once again, because the next show is presumably Bad Batch or Kenobi. It's one of those two. I know Kenobi's the next big show. I think Bad Batch might be wedged in there somewhere, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they'll announce something in the week. Who knows? But the Book of Boba Fett, it is done. We don't know if a season 2 will happen, but this was episode 7, the season finale, I'll say for now. It was a good episode. It definitely felt better as a Boba Fett episode, but it definitely wasn't great. And I feel like there's a lot of things that could have been done better. And I left the episode not really feeling that satisfied. I was satisfied in terms of action and just enjoyment. Like, I was really enjoying the action scenes we got. But in terms of the story, it just felt very strange. It felt very quick. And I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed at some parts, but some of it's okay. It's like, all right, it's okay. It's an okay show. You know, I think I could rewatch the show, but I don't think it's like the greatest thing ever. And I don't think it's the greatest thing we ever really needed. I think we could have just put some of this maybe in the Mandalorian season 3. I don't know. We'll see. But that's the Book of Boba Fett. Hopefully there's a season 2, just to get a little bit more of Boba. But if there's not, I think that's okay.